Cursor just rolled out its latest Composer feature, which introduces an AI agent that allows you to build apps without having to lift a single finger. Here's everything you need to know about the latest update, as well as an in-depth stress test to see how well this agent works in real time. Let's now run down the list of all the new features in this update. To start, Cursor has added a new Composer UI in the sidebar with inline diffs. So now by clicking Command I, we now have a tab in our editor for Cursor Composer, which acts just like a file rather than having the Composer open in a separate window by clicking Command-Shift-I as we did before. And if we want to head back into our chat and not the Composer window, we can simply click Command-L to switch between the two. And in this new Composer window UI, applying changes are now instant across all of your files. Cursor has also added some minor changes in this update, such as a recommended function that can semantically search for context. But now let's go over the real meat of this update, which is the new Cursor Composer agent. The new Cursor Composer agent will help automate tasks and debug complex issues with minimal input from you. This will basically enhance your entire workflow by allowing for autonomy and integration into your development process. So the agent can do things such as interact directly with your terminal, find relevant files for you inside your codebase, and even automatically do multi-file edits for your project. Basically, it's doing most of the work for you while you just simply provide the prompt and approve changes that the agent is making. So with this agent, you can generate boilerplate code, refactor at scale, and even automate project setups without having to do anything yourself. This new Composer agent is a direct competitor to Windsurf's Cascade, as it has very similar features and functionality. Now, let's go over using the new Composer agent in detail. To start, we first want to check and make sure that we have the latest Cursor update. So if you don't have Cursor downloaded yet on your computer, you can simply download it from the website to receive the latest version. However, if you already do have Cursor installed on your desktop, we just want to first check that we do have the latest version, which offers the Cursor Composer agent features. So we can do this by clicking the About cursor on the top left, and what we are looking for is the 0.43 version. And if you are on an older version, you can simply just go to Cursor and type in Command-Shift-P, and then from here search for Cursor Attempt to Update, and then attempt to update your Cursor application. Now that we have the latest version of Cursor installed, let's go ahead and test this new Composer agent in real time. So I've opened up a blank project here in Cursor. I just called it Composer Agent. And then from here, let's just test out some simple prompts to turn this into a Next.js project completely using the agent. So to do this, let's go ahead and click Command I to open up the Composer. And what we'll want to do is just select agent here rather than the normal Composer, so that the agent can now use tools and even run commands in our terminal. And then an important thing to note here is to make sure that you're inside this Composer window and not chat, just so that you're able to use this new agent feature. Let's just type in the prompt. And then we can see that the agent is now running through this prompt. And then it's asking us to confirm. So if we click run command here, you can see in the pop-out terminal that it's actually running the command for us. We didn't specify about TurboPack, so we'll keep this to set as no. We now have a Next.js project inside our workspace. And an additional helpful thing that we have with this new agent is that it actually runs us through everything it's done. So you can see it's already selected all of the default settings for us. And then it's told us what this project will include. So we have a source folder, all of these other default settings, and then it's gone ahead and provided us with next steps. So if we wanted to run the development server, we can use this command and then view the app as well. Now let's turn this up a bit and create a full-blown web app completely using the new Composer agent. So inside this prompt, I'll just go ahead and type in, please help create a clone of Netflix inside this Next.js project. And then we can see all of the steps that the agent will take inside this window here. So let's type in the prompt and wait for the results. We can see that they're now creating all of the essential components in pages for us. And then occasionally we'll just need to check off on all the commands. So if we click run command here, we're able to view all of the commands that the agent is running inside this pop-out terminal. Do the same here and install all of the additional dependencies for us. And we can see that the Composer agent is actually bug testing in real time. So we can see that there's a dependency conflict and they're trying to fix all of these issues step by step without you having to actually provide any further prompts. Now that the bugs are fixed, the agent is now going ahead and trying to create all of the general structures as well as components needed for our Netflix clone. Next, it's creating the browse page here that will show the movie grid. And then next, it's creating a public directory, which will house some sample images for our application. And now that we have all of this saved, let's now try to fix some of the errors that we can see here inside our browse page. So inside the same agent window, we'll just say that there seems to be an issue with the import function. The agent has gone ahead and fixed its own errors. And then we can have the agent directly run the project as well. So from here, let's wait for this to load. Now they're starting up the development server. We'll just confirm to run that command here. And let's now wait for our project to load. Now testing out this app inside our localhost URL, we can see that the Composer agent has created this Netflix clone web app for us. So we have our Netflix homepage here, where it has the very classic slogan, hero section, just like they said in the prompt. And then if we click get started, we now have the movie grid that the Composer agent told us they worked on as a general structure. And again, we did this all just from one single prompt. So obviously we'll have to go back and forth to add in maybe some real-time data from a movie API, and also add in some additional code files to be able to create this TV shows, movies, and new and popular sections. But again, this just shows how powerful this Composer agent can really be. Just from one simple prompt, it's created this entire structure, as well as 2 pages inside this web app. Now that I've stress tested this new Cursor Composer agent, let's go over some issues that I personally had, since not everything is perfect. The first major issue here is that you'll be hitting global rate limits pretty often and quickly, so be very careful about usage. And just so you're aware, the global rate limits here are due to Anthropic's API restrictions, not Cursor. So the fix would lie with Anthropic updating its rate limit policies. Another issue I have with the Composer agent is a very similar issue I have with Cursor Composer as a whole, which is that it will overwrite working existing code. What this means is that the agent can just simply remove all of the new features you've added inside your file and replace it with a few lines of AI generated code. So if you do end up using Composer agent or Composer, it's imperative that you commit your code often, just so one simple prompt doesn't completely destroy all of the progress you've made in your project. This is the biggest issue I have with multi-file editing, and this is why I personally stay with using the chat feature within Cursor, especially if I'm working in deeper complex app builds, since I don't want Cursor to start editing some of the existing files I already have in my codebase and removing some features from my application. And the last issue I've seen is the same issue that plagues basically all major AI tools on the market, which is that extreme context is needed, especially when prompting for more complex app builds. So once again, you need to provide as much context as possible to the Composer agent, even though it has access to your entire code base. The agent will still ignore files that are dependent on one another, and it'll even create some incorrect import paths for you as well. It basically lacks the general knowledge on how a complex code base interacts with one another. And just like with the chat function of Cursor, you need to oversee all the changes that the Composer agent is making, provide as much detail as possible, and even clarify key relations by referencing your files. Now this issue is present in pretty much all AI tools, so if you do want to create a production-ready app, you'll need a touch of additional expertise or professional developer support to really take your app to the finish line. So if you're interested in a program with detailed coursework, an active community of AI builders, as well as a network of professional developers that will help debug your projects for you when AI either fails or gets stuck, then make sure to check out our program at AI Code Pathways. We offer a human touch to existing AI tools. This powerful combination will make sure that any non-technical founder will have the means to create any complex web or native mobile app completely from scratch. So again, make sure to check the link in our bio to join the community, as it's never been easier to build as a non-technical founder. Now let's go over my final thoughts on the new Composer agent. I think the agent is a neat new feature, but it suffers from many of the same issues that Cursor Composer has, especially with things like multi-file editing. The biggest frustration when working with AI is overriding existing working code, and I find that you often have to wrestle with the Composer agent, especially when dealing with more complex tasks. I think Composer agent will be great in the initial steps of building out a project or for simple tasks. But once you start working with complex features that have multiple files, I would still stick with the chat function within Cursor, as it's much easier to take everything step by step rather than having an agent try to do 20 things at once and break your entire code base. If you found this video helpful and you want to learn more about using AI tools to code, then make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, as we post weekly on all the latest developments within the AI space.